School District D21 regular school board meeting. Today's Thursday, November 17th, 2022. I'm going to officially call this meeting to order. If you all can please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item tonight, just a review and revision of the agenda. Do I have any revisions by any of the directors? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Next is a reading of our district mission and vision statement. Director Richardson, could you do us a pleasure tonight?
Our mission statement: educating each student to the highest standards while motivating them to reach their fullest potential and graduating them to be college, career, and life ready. Our vision statement: our schools are a place where children belong. Each student is known by name, strength, and need, and provided the education and opportunities to achieve success. Our values include striving for equity, inclusion, and belonging, celebrating diversity, engaging the community, supporting the whole child, and promoting and achieving academic excellence.
Staff recognition for this month. I'm going to invite our Director of Communications and Ms. Bowen with our first group of recognition tonight.
Well, rather last month, October, was National Principals Month. We may be a little late, but we want to extend our celebration and appreciation for this small group of very hardworking individuals in our school district. They're hardworking, determined, and visionary. Your vision, wisdom, and passion for our schools is so apparent, and it shows in so many ways. I hear it every day in the speeches that you give at assemblies, in your voices when a struggling student comes to your office. I see it in the smiles and high fives you're giving in the hallway, and then the tireless dedication to your Spirit Week attire. And sometimes I even see it in a ridiculous pig suit. So if you know, you know, and you'll be grateful that that picture did not make the cut. You all have made a great difference in the lives of North Wasco County School students and staff, and for that we are forever grateful. Our schools are a better place because you are all here. And on that note, I have a special gift from the district office for each of you. So if you guys could come find me in the back, I would love to hand that out.
And thank you to all our building administrators. You guys are an integral part of our district and make our buildings run as smooth as they do. So thank you. Next, we'll have our athletic director, Mr. Brost, come up and introduce some people, some hardware, and all the amazing things that happened this fall season. So, Mr. Brost.
Having me. Tonight, I'd like to review the Dallas High School and the Dallas Middle School athletics for the fall of 2022. 129 students at the Dallas Middle School participated in 3 sports this fall, up from an estimated 102 last fall. So numbers are growing. In the fall of 2021, 203 students participated in athletics at the Dallas High School. This fall, 273 students participated in the Dallas High School. Overall, that's 1/3 of our enrolled student body is now participating in athletics. That's an increase of 7% since the fall of 2021 and a 1.2% increase since 2019-2020, which was the last pre-COVID season. 4 of our 6 varsity programs qualified for academic all-state consideration, highlighted by our girls soccer team finishing with the 7th highest team GPA in the state. Volleyball completed their fall season with 4 teams, the Dallas Middle School. Football completed their seasons, highlighted by a program sweep of Pendleton. That's the first time in more than 20 years that 7th and 8th grade football have beaten Pendleton in the same year. Cross country completed their season, and the girls team placed 3rd at the Eastern Oregon Middle School Championship in Pendleton. Varsity football, in April of 2022, we hired Mark Schilling as our new head coach. By the late spring, early summer of this year, we assembled his staff from the ground up. They finished 1-7 overall, 0-5 in Greater Oregon League play. We ended the season 2 weeks early due to compounding injuries and academic issues at key positions. 3 players, however, did receive all conference honors. For cheer, they competed in 2 competitions this fall, placing 3rd at game day and having 3 cheerleaders named to the 4A finalists list for the OCCA All-State team. Our boys soccer team finished 7-6-2 overall, 3-4-2 in Tri-Valley Conference play. They earned a bid by an act of God to the 4A play-in qualifier game at Seaside, where they lost 4-3 on penalty kicks. And 7 of our boys soccer players earned all conference honors. Our girls soccer team finished 9-5-2 overall and 7-3 in Tri-Valley Conference play. They earned a bid and won the 4A playing qualifier game against Baker 1-0. They qualified for the first round playoff match against LeGrand, where they lost 7-1. And 8 of our girls earned all conference honors. My volleyball team, are you here? There you are, ladies. Congratulations. They finished 21-4 overall. That's the most regular season victories in the state of Oregon this year. They won the Tri-Valley Conference Championship, won the program's first home playoff game since 2003 against Scappoose. They qualified for the Elite 8 at the state tournament, where they lost to Mazama and then to Henley. 6 of our girls earned all conference honors, including Kennedy Abbas being named Tri-Valley Conference Player of the Year and head coach Julie Summers being named the Tri-Valley Conference Coach of the Year. I would like to acknowledge them at this point. So, ladies, please stand up. Cross country, the big one. Girls team placed 3rd at the Tri-Valley Conference District meet, qualified for an at-large bid to compete at the 4A state meet. Elena Cassidy placed 3rd at the district meet as an individual. The boys team won their 2nd consecutive conference title, their first since coming back into the Tri-Valley Conference, and qualified to compete at the 4A state meet. Juan Diego Contreras won the individual boys district championship. The girls team placed 8th at the 4A state meet, with Elena Cassidy again leading the way, finishing 7th overall. The boys team, who are here tonight with the coaching staff of Joe Pearson, Mandy Williams, and Bob Tuvenal, won the 4A state championship. Juan Diego Contreras finished 2nd overall, and Leo Lehman finished 4th overall. This is the Dalles High School's first state championship in cross country since 1997. So again, I'd like to give a round of applause for both our girls volleyball team, the Tri-Valley Conference champions, our boys cross country team, Tri-Valley Conference, and the 4A state champions. Thank you.
Season to the coaches. Thank you for everything you do for our student athletes. To the student athletes, thank you for what you do. This is above and beyond just all your academic demands that you have at TDHS. So thank you for all the extra time and effort to really represent what being a Riverhawk means and really showcasing your talents outside of our community. So thank you. yes, we did brag about you. We were at a conference this past weekend, so that also helps to rub it into fellow board members across the state. But kudos, you've done really well this fall. Thank you, thank you. Next, we'll move into our student representative reports, starting with TDHS. We'll hear from Amy Hernandez. Oh. Those will go great in the trophy case.
A senior at the Dallas High School. Just going to give a quick summary about what's been going on in this first trimester. So the play is moving forward. The Sousa-fied Christmas Carol is moving forward. That's going to be happening throughout the winter. The robotics team is heading to a tournament. So I wish them very good luck in that, as well as came back as the band choir currently had a recital here with the middle school yesterday. They did very well. I wanted to congratulate them on showcasing some of their songs that they had for last night, because I did make it. We had a med RV from Mid-Columbia come and give sports physicals to 10 individuals at the Dallas High School the other day. I believe it was yesterday. Central Oregon Trade and Skills Fair. A few students will be going to that CT program on Friday. They'll be learning skills that will help them in the near future. Lastly, our leadership is hoping that we find a great winter season to plan very great events so that our high schoolers will then enjoy those events. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next, we'll hear from the Innovations Academy and Carrie Clausen.
I'm Innovations ASB president. We in leadership are working in two different groups right now. We have one working on an anti-bullying campaign, and we'll be putting up posters and smaller flyers around the hallway, but also we're working with our teachers to give them each small individualized posters to put up in their room. And then our other group was working on veterans cards to just give out to our veterans who work in our own district and to the veterans who live in nursing homes. We also just ended our first term this year, today, sorry. And we'll be starting second term once we come back from Thanksgiving. Also, just a small reminder, we have the bazaar going on during December 3rd, and that will be on Watonka campus, and Innovations Leadership will be helping with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Next, we'll hear from the Dallas Middle School from Riley Elliott.
School Board, I'm Riley Elliott, ASB President of the Dallas Middle School. Boys basketball has had a strong start this year. We have a total of 4 teams, A and B teams for 7th grade and A and B teams for 8th grade. Their games last night went great. TDMS has cheerleaders. Their first practice was Monday. They're getting ready to support our basketball teams on this week. We have been very successful. Currently, our totals sit at about 700. We are expecting 100 cans for tomorrow. Hopefully, depending on how it goes, we may see Mr. Leducer in a blow-up turkey suit. The end of the trimester has come, and students are very excited for Thanksgiving break. This is the first real trimester our middle school has had in quite a few years. And put on a successful Veterans Day assembly. Some of you were able to join us. Thank you for coming. The TDMS and TDHS bands and choirs performed together. Students got to hear a great speaker talk about his experiences and encourage them. We had many veterans present that we got to honor. Tuesday, our 7th and 8th grade choirs had a performance. They also got to perform with the high school. is planning a December Spirit Week, December Assembly, and candy cane grams. Spirit Week is filled with a cozy day, ugly sweater day, ducks versus beavers day, dress like a staff member day, and holiday gear day. We will be doing a Spirit Week fashion show in the assembly. We will have a ranger relay. This is where students will be pulling each other in a race. Another one that we are doing is, do you want to build a snowman? Yes, we are going to play that song from Frozen. But best of all, the students are going to get disguised as a snowman. What is a candy cane gram? How it works is a student purchases a candy cane and sends it to their friend as a nice holiday treat. We are so excited about all the fun that is coming up. Thank you so much for your time. ASB appreciates all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Next, we'll hear from Chenoweth Elementary School, and we have Mercedes Sanchez and Alexis Camarillo.
And dance every Friday morning.
A partir del segundo trimestre, vamos a comenzar todas las asambleas escolar de los viernes por la mañana en persona. No podemos esperar a ver señor Randall cantar y bailar todos los viernes por la mañana. Eso es todo. Esperamos verte por Channel.
That's
And we
all.
always say every morning.
That's all. We hope to see you around Channel Wave. And as we say every morning, remember to be kind, be responsible, be respectful, and be safe. Recuerda ser amable, responsable, respetuoso y seguro. And don't forget, together we are better. No nos
Somos mejores. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mercedes and Alexis. Next, we'll hear from Dry Hollow Elementary School. We have Elias Jensen and Lydia Leducer.
Is
Lydia Leducer.
that too loud? Thank you for allowing us the time to share with you what has been happening at Dry Hollow Elementary School. You know that school up on a hill in the Dalles. Our address is 1314 East. Any of you would like to visit us sometime, we'd love to see you. Now here's our report.
Well, Dry Hollow has been buzzing with many activities since we were last here to give a report. Our Spirit Week went very well. Many students dressed up each day for the various events we had.
Our school word of the month at Dry Hollow this month is gratitude. We are working on forming an attitude for gratitude. Mrs. Lloyd, our outstanding Dean of Students, made a great big wreath for the entryway at Dry Hollow. Mrs. Ross Miller, our awesome principal, came up with this idea. The wreath of leaves that have different things written on them that students and staff are grateful for this year and always. Gratitude assembly for this Friday. We are thankful we got to do it.
We recently had an outstanding Veterans Day assembly. Miss Corey, may I say the best librarian a school could ever have. Our Wonder Woman without the Wonder Woman costume spent many hours organizing and decorating for the event. Several other staff members helped her as well. Many veterans attended, and Miss Floyd, one of our students' parents who was in the assembly, talked to us about what it means to be a veteran. The student council has almost completed their Great Dry Hollow canned food drive. Our goal was to get 2,000 cans of food, and we have exceeded that. In fact, one student in Mrs. Hamill's class, Aubrey Johnson, bought several cases of food with her own savings. She and her family have donated over 600 cans of food. Last year, we gathered 3,600 total food items. We might just get that number yet. The food collected this year will be divided among a few local food drives or local charities as needed. Dry Hollow patrons always go out of their way to help our community and our students.
Vacation is almost here. We have finished another round of STAR testing in reading and math. We have worked hard this trimester in our new reading program you purchased for us, as well as in our Go Math. Several students met their personal AR goals. That's accelerated reading goal. For this trimester, one student, Raiden Leducer, has already earned over 217 points. That's an amazing accomplishment for anyone. It's okay to give Raiden a round of applause if you like. Thank you. He is definitely an outstanding reader. Mr. Kaiser had both of Radiant's parents in class when they were at Dry Hollow, and he says he is sure it's the influence he had on them That has made Raiden such a good reader. Go figure.
Parent conferences will be held on Monday, November 28 and Wednesday, November 30. We can hardly wait. Well, most of us can hardly wait until we get our report cards. There is a holiday scholastic book fair scheduled for November 28th through December 1st. The book fair will be open during parent-teacher conferences on Monday and Wednesday after school until 7:30.
And this year we're doing something new.
Wait.
Your parents can put some money in e-wallet online and students can shop during their library time, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Dad, do you have any extra cash? Okay. No. On Wednesday, November 3rd, holiday sweater book fair day. We'll be able to wear an ugly or a beautiful sweater that day. I think I'll wear a henway,
Wait, Elias, what's a henway?
about 2 pounds. That's
Just some of what's been happening this past month at Dry Hollow. We both would like to wish you all a very wonderful Thanksgiving from the staff and students at Dry Hollow. We feel blessed to have such a wonderful school board and administration to run our schools. So again, we'd like just to say thanks for listening and
Happy Thanksgiving. Now act like a turkey and gobble until you're stuffed.
Read the Rossmiller thing.
And this is for Miss Rosmiller for her Principal Recognition Month.
Thank you, Lydia and Elias. That concludes our student representative reports. And I'm actually going to invite Mr. Brose back. I skipped a little too quickly. We do want to recognize the student athletes that are here tonight individually. So Mr. Brose, if you would do the honors, please.
That up. I would like to acknowledge the great work, first of all, of the leadership of the district, the building administrators, volunteers, Mr. Kaiser, who again was one of my teachers a couple of days ago. Volunteers for absolutely everything, football, volleyball, basketball, whatever we need him. I want to thank everybody in the district. Because I know our kids feel supported. I know our coaches feel supported. So I just want to say thank you for that. At this time, I would like my girls volleyball team to stand up. And I would like you each to introduce yourselves. Seen them in a while. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you, ladies. And then I would like my boys cross country runner to stand up if he would and introduce himself. What? I would watch Juan Diego all summer long. I'd be driving around to and from work, and everywhere I went, he was running, and he would see me in my red truck, and I'd wave, and he'd wave, and we'd kind of make eye contact. It's just, I haven't been here for his entire high school career, but I feel like I've gotten to witness the best. And Juan Diego epitomizes the hard work and success that can be had by Dallas High Athletics as well as our ladies. I mean, they put Riverhawk volleyball back on the map, Dallas High volleyball back on the map. So I'm extremely proud of all our programs, but these two programs specifically because the Dallas matters again. So thank you.
Thank you to all the student athletes that joined us tonight. Congrats on such a successful season. All right. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. So we have the school board meeting minutes from October 27, 2022, and also an updated personnel report. Is there any comment or discussion from the board? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Accept the consent agenda as presented.
All right, is there a second? All right, so we've got a motion by Director Richardson to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Director Lopez. Any discussion on either item? Now we'll move to a vote. Let's see, Director Lopez. Aye. Director Nelson. So, aye. Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, next is just a review of the board action calendar. We've got November on board. A few of us attended the annual OSBA conference this past weekend in Portland. And then we've got December coming up. But nothing real major. Any questions regarding kind of upcoming months? Seeing none, we'll continue to move forward. We're on to our school board subcommittee reports, and we have a few board members out tonight. So we will not hear from scholarship committee or community outreach. Those are held by Director Stevens, who's unable to be here tonight. But wellness committee, Director Richardson, any update?
Thank you. The Wellness Committee met. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but the report I received was that they discussed the OEA Wellness Grant. In the next meeting, they'll review the policy and start working on wellness goals for students and staff for the year.
We won't hear about the equity committee, but next is the Wasco County Forest Collaborative. Director Nelson.
We met this month. It was kind of a beginning of our new year in the Forest Collaborative with new people that arrived. So we went over our mission statement and all of that stuff and made a few changes in that. And the main bulk of the meeting was the management plan that is being reviewed now was open for public comment, and we got that comment back. So we kind of went over that because one of the aims of the collaborative is to avoid litigation on a management plan that's going to take effect. And so that's always tricky. Not everybody always agrees with everything. But one of the things the Forest Collaborative does is to act on or respond to every one of the people who have some sort of objection to the plan. And so they all get recognized and heard, and sometimes they change, and the collaborative works with the National Forest Service to go through all of these things. But we don't always come out agreeing, and sometimes there is litigation, which we try to avoid. So that was the basis of the meeting, really, was going over the public comments and talking about each one of the things that people had objected to in the plan.
Legislative Policy Committee.
Thank you. Yes, the Legislative Policy Committee met last week at the start of the OSBA conference. We received notice that the priorities that we set for the upcoming legislative session were unanimously approved. We received support from districts across the state. And really the focus of the LPC, besides those priorities, is on financing stability, particularly in the light of the fact that we recently had a large campaign and voting, and none of the it didn't seem that education was a high priority in many of the campaigns. They were distracted by other important issues that were pressing for voters at the time. So it's really important for us to keep that in the forefront of our legislators moving forward. And so thank you for allowing me to attend, and please send me thoughts, concerns, or questions for the legislature as they come up. Thanks.
Concludes our subcommittee reports tonight, as Director Jones is also not in attendance. So we'll get an update on D21 Ed Foundation at a future meeting. Next is our staff reports. We're going to hear from the North Wasco Education Support Professional representatives.
To thank the Wellness Committee for the purchase of massage chairs that they have put in the staff lounges at the schools. All the buildings got massage chairs and they are being utilized, let me tell you. So it's a thank you, a big thank you. So just real quickly, we've been fighting a lot of COVID, flu, respiratory stuff with our staff, and we're really encouraging our members to take precautions to try to keep them healthy. Looking forward to Thanksgiving break when we can maybe stop passing it around and maybe all come back and be healthy and well. The district and the unions are working hard to try to work with our behavior issues that we're dealing with in schools, and our goal is to try to keep everybody safe. So we're working on those things. Charlene will tell you some more.
So for the month of November, we are doing, the ESPs are doing a holiday food drive for our North Wasco families. It looks like it's been very successful. They've been picking it up from the schools today, and we will deliver Monday to families that the schools have decided upon. And the winning school will receive a lunch courtesy of the Wellness Committee. So that will be great. And Wednesday was Education Support Professional Day. Some of the schools did a lot of special things for our ESPs, and we would like to acknowledge and say thank you to all of our licensed staff, our certified staff, our admin, for everybody's support. It means a lot to the ESPs. And last but not least, we hope everybody has a wonderful holiday break and a happy Thanksgiving. That's it for us. Yeah.
Thank you for that update. Now we'll move on to our new business, starting with our superintendent's report. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Bernal.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite Kristen Nicolescu up with One Community Health, and she's going to share a presentation about mobile health clinic unit and bringing school-based health services to North Wasco.
Okay, I'm a little nervous, so please everybody bear with me. So thank you, Dr. Bernal, for inviting me, and hello, school board members. It's nice to meet you. My name is Kristen Nicolescu. I am a physician assistant and have been practicing for about 11 years. I currently work with One Community Health, and I am primarily the PA-based health center at HRVH. And Dr. Bernal has asked me to come and speak to you guys about school-based health services. The reason I got involved with bringing school-based health services to, or potentially bringing them to North Wasco County School District is because Pat Sublette and I crossed paths, or I think in 2019 or 2020, when we were both on a webinar for a school health services planning grant. I was there because I was very interested in hearing how we could expand school-based health services in the Columbia Gorge area. And she was there thinking about how to do the same. And so since then, we've been working together. And on that note, what I'd like to start is by kind of reviewing how we got to this place, how we got to thinking about bringing school-based health services to North Wasco County School District and how we think it could benefit North Wasco County School District. And so should I just say next slide? Is that what I should do? All right, great. So in 2020, in the middle of a school health services planning grant, you guys completed a community health and needs assessment. And as a result of that, there were several findings from it, and not many of them are all that surprising, but in the process, community members were interviewed, people took surveys, there were focus groups, and there were listening sessions with community members, and youth and guardians who, and the goal of the health assessment was to determine if they perceived there were any unmet health needs in Wasco County. And what they ended up finding was, not surprisingly, and I think we all can recognize this now, is that youth and guardians both identified their top unmet health need was mental health care, followed by preventative and primary health care. So things like urgent care needs, things like minor illnesses and injuries, wellness visits, etc. And then the third concern was addressing health disparities. And so I remind us of this because I think it's a good bridge for us to realize how school-based health services in Wasco County could help kind of meet these needs. And I want to break down these needs just briefly. So next slide, please. During that health assessment, youth identified some of their top concerns. And not surprisingly, I think we all have heard about this. Mental health concerns continue to be youth's top unmet health need. In fact, 30% of 8th graders in the Dalles reported symptoms of depression, 25% of 11th graders in the Dalles reported depression symptoms. Following mental health needs, youth identified substance abuse as a major concern, followed by primary care issues, things like feeling sick and minor injuries, and then also cited concerns of violence and bullying. Next slide. This slide is talking about what guardians perceive to be their children's unmet health needs. So they also identified that they were concerned that their children were feeling down, worried, sad, and stressed. Their second identified concern was things like primary care and urgent care needs that were going unmet, things like colds, fevers, flu, sore throats, etc. 25% of parents said their child did not get the mental health care that they needed in the previous year. And then following that, more concerns about behavioral health things like focusing, paying attention, etc. Next slide. Okay, so the community health assessment also indicated that there were certain populations in Wasco County who wanted medical care, but for many reasons went without it. So 47% of folks who were uninsured said they did not receive medical care within the previous year. 19% of Medicaid insured households did not receive medical care that they needed. Next slide. Needs assessment and the community health assessment, because I think this is a good place to determine what needs are currently being addressed with what is currently offered and where folks think that there could be increased services. And I think, and I believe that school-based health services is where that can come in. So I want to talk to you about what school-based health services are, what they look like in a school district. And so next slide, please. Thank you. So the infographic is hard to see if you're far away from it, but it is an infographic from the status update from the state program office published by Oregon Health Authority, describes what school-based health services are. And in general, school-based health services are an accessible way for youth to get medical care and mental health care. They provide comprehensive services, and they provide it in an effective and costly way. So not costly, cost-effective way. Okay. The main services that school-based health centers provide and school-based health services provide are things like well child checks, immunizations, sports physicals, visits for things like acute illness and injury. And then on the mental health side, making sure that we're addressing these concerns that were identified in the health assessment, things like counseling for depression, anxiety, interpersonal relationship strain. Those are the typical things that we're seeing at the school-based health center currently.
School-based health centers are typically certified in the state of Oregon. That's how they remain sustainable. So they receive funding through the state of Oregon, through local public health authorities, and then also through medical partners in the community. Next slide. There are 78 school-based health centers in the state of Oregon in 25 of 36 counties in the state. 40 of the school-based health centers in the state of Oregon are located in rural communities. Even our least populous county in Oregon has a school-based health center in Wheeler County. Next slide. Okay, and so these are, this is data from the recent status report from the state program office sponsoring school-based health centers. In Oregon, in the 2020 to 21 school year, 17,000 students received healthcare through a school-based health center for a total of 56,000 visits to school-based health centers. On average, that means that each patient visited the school-based health center 3 times in the academic year. And I just want to point out that in the 20 to 21 academic year, as we know, is a hybrid year. So this is actually a year in which there wasn't a ton of volume at school-based health centers. Some of these visits were through telehealth. I would say that prior to the pandemic, we were seeing a pretty significant increase in how many visits school-based health centers were getting until 2020, in which we really saw a significant decrease. So of those 56,000 visits, 48% were for primary care, 51% were for behavioral health, and a lot of those were via telehealth during that school year, and then 1% for dental health care. I think this is I think the next statistic is interesting considering what we learned in the community health assessment, that 60% of school-aged youth who visited school-based health centers had Medicaid coverage. And I think that speaks to the community health assessment. We were saying that a lot of the Medicaid insured families were not receiving the healthcare they needed. This is where a school-based health center can really improve that access. Next slide, please. Thank you. I want to focus on mental health and behavioral health care in school-based health centers for a second, because I know that's an identified need with the health assessment. 95% of school-based health centers have a behavioral or mental health care provider on staff and in building. On average, behavioral health clients access school-based health centers for behavioral health visits 8 times a year. And as a bonus, these kids who are accessing the school-based health center for mental health services, also 24% of them also managed to get a preventative health visit through the medical provider at the school-based health center. I think the key role of school-based health centers in a community is to help improve access and reduce barriers for youth receiving healthcare, right? So we know that sometimes primary cares have a long waiting list. They aren't accepting new patients. This is where school-based health centers can help fill that gap while they await establishing care with the primary care physician. A lot of school-based health centers are federally qualified health facilities, and they will see students at no cost if they are uninsured. And then also, because school-based health centers are located on campuses or near campuses, oftentimes it reduces the transportation barrier, right? So kids can access it while they're at school and they don't have to rely on their parents to drive them there. And then in addition, I think a lot of times absenteeism from school is a major barrier to receiving care. So when people are trying to decide whether or not they want to miss math class again or go to a mental health care appointment, oftentimes they will choose to stay at school rather than get health care. And this doesn't make kids and families choose between getting healthcare and deciding whether or not to miss class. I've included a few statements below from some nurses within the Hood River County School District. Thank you, Allie, for including them. And it just speaks to how access is so important for youth this age to get the healthcare that they need. Next slide. This next statement is from Rich Polkinghorn. He's superintendent at Hood River County School District. I'm not going to read the entire thing. It makes me a little bit emotional when I read it. I'm so thankful for him and so thankful for his support. But I think it's really important to read the last part, which is being able to walk a student down the hallway when they are in crisis and do a warm handoff to a licensed professional has literally saved the lives of a number of students. It's not a question of if a school-based health center should be on campus. It is how quickly can we get one opened. Reiterate a few points about school-based health centers. I think when you're introducing something new like this into a community, there can be some hesitancy and some questions about
whether or not it's bringing real value to the community. And I think something to think about is that we know that when school-based health centers are introduced into communities, we know it's not only associated with improved health outcomes, but also with improved educational outcomes. Things like reduced absenteeism and GPAs go up. Okay. I also consider that when so all kids, not just the kids who are accessing services at the school-based center, are safer in environments where every student's mental and physical health can be addressed by a professional. So we're keeping communities safe in general. And then when students have access to reliable and accurate medical information, they can make health decisions for themselves that align with their own values and align with their family's values. Instead of learning about things on social media, et cetera, they have a place to come to learn about health and get medically accurate information so they can start to make decisions that align with their family's values. I think that's really important to remember. Next slide. So what we're currently doing in the district to expand school-based health services and to address some of the needs identified in the health assessment. We currently, as you heard from one of the students, we were just recently at the Dallas High School yesterday. We were able to help a dozen kiddos access well visits and sports physicals. And then we are also up in Dufur in August and November doing the same services. I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but we are also have a virtual behavioral health program in which there's telehealth portals in each of the schools in the district in which students can enroll in this program and access behavioral health services virtually with one of our behavioral health consultants at One Community Health. And my ask of you guys and what I'd like to do over the next coming months is to continue to have these events where we come and perform well visits and sports physicals. And I would like to eventually start increasing our visits to the Dallas High School to really get an understanding of what the needs are, to really understand what the demand is for these visits. And doing that with the mobile unit is a really easy way to bring services to the kids and get a sense of how much demand there is, what they need, what sorts of services they're requesting. And so that helps us gather data and assess the need for a consistent presence in North Wasco County. And eventually, like a dream would be that one day the Dallas School District has a brick and mortar school-based health center that all kids in the district can access. Tried to make it quick. I know it's late night. Any questions, discussion for me?
Largely, it's focused on TDMS and TDHS for us at the secondary level. But I mean, assuming we have the services available, I mean, there would be nothing that would preclude, say, like an elementary, like if a parent wanted to use that versus they couldn't get into like the example you gave, primary care physician, like could they make use of that even
Absolutely.
for another secondary kiddo?
Yeah, I think while we know that a lot of school-based health centers are located on secondary school campuses just for ease of use for older kiddos who can consent. For example, Hood River County School District allows any school-age child who's enrolled in the district to access a school-based health center. I saw a 5-year-old this afternoon for acute illness. They did not yet have a primary care in the area. And so I was bridging that gap for them. Yeah, I would definitely say that's where it's not designed to replace primary cares. It's just designed to be a resource for the community in the school district. And so it's a perfect way for us to be utilized, those urgent care visits, those types of things. Yep.
Cool. Much for the presentation tonight.
Oh, you want me to continue? All right. I'll just roll right along. So I just wanted to share with you all kind of 3 goals I'm targeting this year, in addition to the 9 standards that I'm evaluated against for the superintendency. The 3 goals are also aligned, of course, with our strategic plan. Goal 1, student experience and really supporting our entire leadership team in the work around our year 1 priorities for student experience. that include the superintendent roundtables. We just opened the application period for juniors and seniors to apply for that. Our target date for the first roundtable will be in January. Doing our work with our restorative practices shift. We're doing a lot of survey work right now in preparation for our integrated guidance plan that we'll be bringing forward to all of you in February. And also continuing our work with Youth Think, who we did some baseline data survey last year. And this year we're continuing that work. Our high schools are going to retake the survey in December, and our elementary and middle schools in March. And also continuing our equity work together as a team. Next slide, Robbie. Goal 2 is teaching and learning and really supporting the work of our new TLA director and building our TLA department. We are focused on MTSS, which is our multi-tiered systems of support. We are working to develop a curriculum leadership team who will do some deep work with our curriculum and essential standards and vertical and horizontal alignment, K-12. Continuing our work with our professional learning communities and working hard to develop our professional learning plan for the 23-24 school year. Last slide, Robbie. And lastly, facilities and really supporting our CFO and our district athletic director and our facilities group. We are working to establish a facilities work group. That group will focus and work with our CFO, Ms. Flath, to really prioritize the facility projects across the district, including our athletic facilities, putting more in the forefront and publishing that project list along with the timeline of completion and funding sources, and continuing our emphasis on the creation of welcoming environments across our district. We're also involved in the safety audits. We have already completed a safety analysis in collaboration with our local law enforcement of all of our facilities, upgrading our security cameras and systems in each of our facilities, which we've already completed. And all of our leadership team, or the majority of us, completed a 2-day FEMA crisis management training back in October. And lastly, our preparation for a general obligation bond. We're still in that planning process with a TBD of where we go next. Our next meeting is in December with our community advisory committee. Any questions?
Dr. Nelson? In relationship to the bond, and maybe this will come up later, I don't know. But Lisa Gamby's report that there was a sticker shock to that at the last community meeting. And then she gave statistics where it wasn't very encouraging. So do you have feelings about that? I don't, basically, I felt in reading that, it's the same thing we went through last time when the knowledge of how much it's going to cost hits the community. There's a lot of pushback to that. And so I guess one of the alternatives is to downscale what we're asking. So that's kind of where I want to know what your thoughts are. And what do you take away if we have to go in that direction? I mean, I know that it's not all your decision, but what are your thoughts on it?
Our community advisory committee, which has over 60 representatives of our community. It's a pretty broad-based representation of the community. We really were intentional in making sure we had good representation of people that represent the broad spectrum of the Dalles. And they've been consistently coming. We've had 3 meetings now. We have our 4th one in December. Yeah, our polling results were like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 yes, 1/3 no, and 1/3 undecided. Yes, there's a little sticker shock in terms of what it will cost to build a new school. But that's not surprising given the inflation and the cost of construction and materials now in present day. We have our 4th meeting in December, and we'll listen to our community advisory committee about whether they want to proceed forward or if they think we need to pause. I personally, the goal is to put something in front of the voters that we think will pass and that we know will pass. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more conversation to be had, and that's going to happen in our next meeting in December.
Okay.
For tonight, next is our Chief Financial Officer's report. We'll have Ms. Flack.
Just a little bit. There you can see them. As far as the bond planning updates, Dr. Bernal gave you a pretty good overview. The December 6th meeting will be important for us to figure out with our community planning group where they're feeling and what the pulse is after all the polling data. So we'll continue on with that adventure. To give a quick update on the financial status, I did include still fiscal year 22, but the early numbers for fiscal year 23. Of course, we have a good outlook, and right now we're same story, different day, but still waiting on the state. So if you look at the state special funds, they're negative again, not negative as a whole because we have funding. So don't let that panic you, but waiting for certain revenue streams to open up with the state, which they actually did last week or two. So that'll be helpful next month to see that. I will let you know that I will need to do a supplemental budget hearing because we have some categories we need to spend this year and we didn't budget it. That automatically just puts us in a supplemental budget hearing. So I'll probably do that for January, but I will make sure that information gets out there. The interesting note as you look through the federal relief funds, because I know everybody reads these very carefully every month, but the keynote is we anticipate spending all of our SR2 funds by the end of this fiscal year, plus a little bit more in our SR3, which is to be expected. Again, SR2 will go through till September of 2023, and SR3 will be through September of 2024. So we're looking at finishing this year and then having another year and a month of SR3 at maximum. Just an update. The other notes is we do have a Safe Routes to School coordinator position finally posted out there looking. Hopefully we'll get great applicants out there. So if anybody knows anybody, please encourage them to apply. I'm excited about that position. We also have been looking at a couple of food trucks. Our hope is to have a food truck in hand by January and start the program outside the high school, hopefully weather permitting. But now that the pavilion, and Mr. Evans is not here for me to say it really did get done, but we're moving full ahead. It's just difficult right now with the climate to find food trucks. They're not a hot, out there everywhere to find. So keep looking. That's actually a really quick report, but just not a whole lot happening. Any questions on finances?
Heard rumblings in terms of the SR3 dollars that they were going to be pushed out in terms of their expenditure to 2024. So I don't know if that changes like our allocation thought process. And is that accurate? I'd heard rumblings that might be the case, that the feds had pushed it out.
Timeline? Yeah.
For the expenditure of them.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for them to give the 1-year tidings extension, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. It could allow us to keep that another year. We could either strategically, because like I've said, we're spending it on some staffing. The good news is our enrollment is up higher than as high as I projected. It's down a little bit this year, but that's good news for our revenue. But not knowing what the state's going to fund the next 2 years, I am trying to carefully just use a little bit of ESSER to supplement that part, which is allowable. But if it doesn't get extended, we will do projects, which we have plenty of those to do that are applicable. And if we do have it extended, we will look at it differently strategically, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did extend it a year. I'll go quickly through that. Not a surprise, but it did dip down in November. Looks like, pattern has been November, December, January, it dips down a little bit. It's 27 less than last month. It's at 2,822, but the positive note is it's still better than June of last year and better than the year before. So keeping our eye on it. It just does look like the interesting thing is most of the dip down was in 12th grade, which could be early graduates or something of that nature. I haven't looked into it too much detail, but there's a few that come in and come out all over. But very quick, any questions?
Report, Mr. Corey.
I don't have.
All right, thank you. So now we'll move on to our discussion and action items, starting with a request to approve a cooperative sports agreement with Sherman County School District, and we'll hear from Mr. Brost.
The school district recently reached out to our district requesting a cooperative agreement of 2 years, which would allow any student in the Sherman County School District to compete for the Dallas High School in the varsity and JV levels of swimming. As of right now, with their enrollment, we would easily fall under to remain 4A. They have one swimmer that actually used to attend the Dalles and now attend Sherman County. Their AD reached out to me. They had a board meeting Monday night and they approved that. And so I'm requesting from this board the approval of that cooperative agreement. I did let them know based on our growing numbers of enrollment, rather than a 2-year agreement, we would go with a 1-year agreement. We would go year to year and just review that each year. That's what I feel most comfortable with for our district at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Brost, any questions regarding that? And thank you for addressing, because I know we're on the upper limit of the 4A classification. So that was my #1 question. Just to keep that in mind. Any other comment or question? All right, hearing none, then I will entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve the cooperative sports agreement between the Dallas High School and Sherman County School District for swimming to begin the 2022-23 school year and lasting 1 year.
All right, do I have a second? All right, so we've got a motion by Director Nelson to approve the cooperative sports agreement between the Dallas High School and Sherman County School District for swimming to begin the 2022-2023 school year and lasting 1 year, seconded by Director Lopez. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Richardson. Chair votes aye as well. All right, thank you, Mr. Brost.
You guys very much appreciate it.
Into our readings on school board policies. We do not have any first readings tonight, but we do have a couple second readings. First is policy IBGGC, the talented and gifted programs and services. So this one will actually be completely deleted from our policies. As you remember, we've approved others to basically consolidate and kind of streamline the policies that we have around talented and gifted. So this is just a complete deletion, and we've kind of taken the elements of this and merged it into the other policies that were updated. So any questions for a motion for its adoption?
NWCSD talented and gifted programs and services.
All right, do I have a second for that? By Director Richardson to delete policy IBGGC, talented and gifted programs and services, and seconded by Director Nelson. Any further comment or discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez. Aye. Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next, we have a brand new, completely brand new policy to the district. This is policy BCBA, the student representatives to the board. So this is one that was brought by Director Richardson to include student voice among our meetings and have a sitting student with us at our meetings. So some exciting stuff that is going to be available for our students. But any questions or comments? Again, brand new policy to our district to have more student voice on our board. By Director Richardson to adopt policy BCBA, student representatives to the board, and seconded by Director Nelson. Any further comment or discussion? Lopez. Aye. Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And thank you, Director Richardson, for bringing this up. I think it's exciting that we're going to be having more students join us and be at the table to have a lot of these discussions that concern the district. So leadership for that. All right. That concludes our board policy adoptions for tonight. Next are comments from the audience about non-agenda items. Do we have any signed up? I'm seeing none. Let's see. I did forget one thing earlier that I don't want to forget. Because I think it's important. I missed during recognition. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Director Richardson. This past weekend at the OSBA conference that we attended, she was recognized as having achieved the silver and bronze levels among the Leadership Institute within OSBA. So I just want to thank her for her extra time and dedication to earn those levels. She already received this an applause and everything from the OSBA group, but I just wanted to not go without acknowledging her here at our meeting. So thank you, Dr. Richardson. All right, with that, that concludes our agenda for tonight. We've got an amazing week next week, which is time for family and